This is episode 29, and we have been talking about transition. We summarized what we have done until now. We will see how the transition goes from theory or knowledge of the difference between Atman and the body, and then how to achieve this difference. Slok 37. हतो वा प्राप्स्यसि स्वर्गं जित्वा वा भोक्ष्यसे महीम् तस्मात् उत्तिष्ठ कौन्तेय युद्धाय कृतनिश्चया. Here Lord says that if you have a fear that you might be killed, then there is no danger or fear, because whatever happens you are going to be successful, because your intention is successful, your means are right, your intention is right, the advice is right, and your performance will be right. So, in spite of all these things, then whatever the result comes, we should accept that. And if you die, since you have performed your duties correctly, you will go to heaven. In other words, you will be going upward. You are improving your situation in this journey towards self-realization. And if you, of course, win here, then you will be the king, enjoying the life and performing your duties further, helping others to perform their duties. So, He Kaunteya, Arjun, you should get up and decide once and for all and fight. We need decisions. I think that sometimes we in life talk about many issues, but we never make decision. And then when we make the decision, we don't mean it, we don't execute it. So again we come back to the same issue again and again, and our life goes on and on and on, because we just love to talk, we love to criticize each other, we love to look at the weaknesses, but we don't make decision what to do to remove these weaknesses within us or within our relatives, husband or wife or children or friends. So from this slok, one thing we need to do is to resolve. As we listen to these lectures, we should resolve that we will fight these enemies, as Arjuna has to fight his kinsman, the Duryodhan. And as we have said, those are vanity, greed, lust for flesh, arrogance, jealousy, all these weaknesses which are our kinsmen. I call them kinsmen because we always defend them rather than we agree that they are not our friends and that we should control our vanity or egoism. I have always found people defending their weaknesses, why they don't do it, why they are doing what they are doing. So their kinsmen, they don't want to fight with the kinsmen, they want to protect them. Same thing with Arjun, he doesn't want to fight with Duryodhan or the Vaishes, he wants to protect them or to leave them alone. That means they will be again growing stronger and stronger. So this slok then is certainly giving us a very clear-cut direction that in this particular path there is no loss. We will gain no matter what the result is. Result is secondary. Our duties and his performance according to the Lord's direction is more important, in which case we never fail, because the success lies in, first of all, understanding the truth, understanding our duties right, and then having decided or determined, execute it irrespective of whatever happens. Even if we have to die, it is better that we die in this yuddha, this war or the battle between vices and virtues, rather than live like Arjun wants to live. A man would be defamed, and women would point out to him that he is important, and such a life for a man of his category, a kshatriya or a king, would be worse than death, as Sri Krishna Bhagavan has already said. Now then, Having resolved that we will do what we have to do, the subject matter naturally comes that what are we supposed to do? If we have to decide, what do we decide and what do we do? So that is a good question and also a turning point. I think there is a question that we may want to look at.
You mentioned heaven. So, what is this heaven and where is it?
Question is what is heaven and where is it? Well, that is a very good question, and we will be speaking of it in next few slokas. Heaven is simply created in our mind. Everything that we are talking about is within us. As we have said, the kingdom of heaven is within us. So naturally, that heaven is within us. Heaven is nothing but purity of life, and the God that we talk about, God of love, is within us. So we should never look for heaven outside of us or in the sky. There is no such thing as heaven in the sky or Brahma Lok or whatever loks we are talking. These are the stages of our purity. As we advance, we move into this stage that we call them lok or whatever we have been thinking about, these seven loks, Brahma Lok, Gandharva Lok, and all other Prajapati Lok. But they are merely stages of consciousness, and as our consciousness purifies, we attain that higher level of consciousness which is self realization. All is within us, and we have to only look within us, nothing to be looked outside. Everything outside is delusive, and as we said, the values are to be looked inside. So, anytime you are turning outside, you have a problem. You will only learn by turning outside that that is not what you are looking for. If that is your ultimate conclusion, and that will be the conclusion, then of course we will be turning inside. So let's look for heaven within us. Let's look for heaven around us while we are on this earth instead of looking up in the sky and thinking of doing things that don't matter today at this point when we need to purify by helping those who need our help. So if we really want to think of heaven and going inward, then we must see God not only in ourselves but God in everyone, and then how do we deal with when we see God in everyone. That will be our subject as we move on. सुख दुःखे समे कृत्वा लाभालाभौ जयाजयौ ततो युद्धाय युज्यस्व नैवं papamavapsase. This slok now then is the one that tells us that in the happiness or misery, whether we gain or lose, whether we win or lose, we should see that these are only the means. We must go on fighting without our concern about gaining or losing. Then Lord says, if you do that, then you will not incur sin. If we recall in slok number 33, he had said that you will incur sin if you don't fight this religious war. In slok number 33 he says, now he says that you will not incur sin if you fight, and no matter what the result is. This law, of course, is a little bit difficult for average man. It's not very practical. It is more spiritual, and when it comes to spirituality, we will have to first go through the what we will call karma yoga. And when we think of karma yoga, once we perform that, and in performing karma yoga, what we are already told, don't worry about gain and loss, happiness or misery. It is the task that we have to perform. This is the most important thing. While in the worldly thing, we are always looking for the results. Am I going to gain something? Am I going to lose something? Do I have an advantage in helping a friend or a poor or somebody else? Or am I going to lose my time and energy? We always have an angle of personally trying to gain something or concern about loss. And this selfishness does not allow us to move forward in our path of self-realization. So in this verse, pleasure and pain is not addressed to Arjun as much as it is addressed to all of us. When he says we will not incur sin by killing our kinsman, we are talking about by killing our vanity, killing our greed, killing again our lust for flesh, arrogance, and all other things. They have become our kinsmen, our relatives, and these are the relatives we need to work with and eliminate. This is what Gita is repeatedly saying. So, if a person remains unconcerned with defeat or victory, knowing that they are part of life, that we have to accept them as they are, then I think when we struggle, Lord will not make us responsible that we have done anything evil, as long as our intention was not selfish, that we did not have anger, whatever the result is the most beautiful result. So that is what we want to do. If we are going to work about earning merits, then I think we are also going to earn demerits. Merits and demerits go together. A time will come when we want to go beyond both of these things. Nothing in this world is wholly good or wholly evil. No person is completely useless and no person is perfect. Knowing this, we want to make sure that every person should be given an opportunity to bring out his best, and those who are better need to advance more, because nobody is perfect. All our life until our last minute we'll have to work to be more perfect. So this is what the saints have been saying. So if we learn this thing, if we try to avoid this distinction between loss and gain, I think that we will be avoiding a lot of pain in life. This is the truth. We may try it. If we don't, we know what results we are getting, the way we are planning and living our life. If we go beyond this gain and loss, there is no chance to do any evil. So all evil is done in this world on immorality only when we think, what have I to gain, or what am I going to lose? As soon as we put this question, whatever we are going to do is going to cause us evil, and we will have a price to pay for it. So if we do not have that angle of gaining or losing, there is no chance whatsoever of our doing sin. Because sinful acts are always done, there is something behind it that you wanted to gain, whether it is pleasure, whether it is power, whether it is name and fame, whether it is following. All this gain that you wanted in itself is a sin according to Gita. So if we do not have a desire to gain anything, there is no chance of losing also anything, and thus we are not going to be responsible for anything that happens. So I would say that Bhagavad Gita is really telling us so far. First of all, Sri Krishna is telling Arjun, whence this weakness in you? If you recall in chapter 2, slok 2 and 3, in which he admonished him and he said, where did this weakness come to you, such a great man and such a powerful man as you are, at a time when we are supposed to fight? And Arjun, of course, keeps questioning that how can I fight against my Bhishma Pitama and all. So he keeps on questioning, and then Sri Krishna Bhagavan is helping him to understand the difference between Atman and the body. He is trying to awaken his intelligence. I think all of us have intelligence, buddhi, but it is not developed. We need to purify it, and purification can be done not only by listening but by performing the actions, and in actions we will learn. And even if we make mistake, it is better that we perform and learn, and from mistakes we learn in advance rather than not take any action whatsoever. So these three things in Gita. First, whence came this weakness? How come we are not fighting these enemies we have been talking about? We don't know where it came from. We know where it comes from. It comes from our desires, our selfishness. It comes from the fact that we can only think of ourselves as a body entity. And the body then needs all these things, so we are just worshipping the body. And had we known Atma, and if we understand Atma the way we have been explained, then I think we would have no problem. So these are some of the things that so far Gita has told us. Whence came this weakness? Our argument and discussion all the time, defending our weaknesses like Arjun does, and then Lord tells us what really needs is to develop our understanding, our intellect, because our intellect is colored by passions. And passion is creating darkness, and in darkness we cannot distinguish between objects. We stumble in the house if it is dark over the furniture because we can't see things. So when we are ignorant, we cannot see those obstacles and we stumble. So what we need to do is bring in light, and light is what we are talking about: learning Gita, understanding Gita, meditating on Gita, and practicing Gita, as our Mirabai has already taught. And if we can just understand what she says and she does, then I think that we would have no problem. I would like to say one of her statement. When a human birth, she says, धिक है जग में जीवन जाको bhajan bina deh dhare. It is shame, she says, to a man who has a human birth and he got this life and yet he did not worship the Lord within himself. And he just was a burden to his mother. 9 months in her womb, he gave her pain, but he gave lot of pain even after his birth, but did not do what he was supposed to do when he had such a beautiful human life. So again, saints are telling us, she says, shame on us. It is a despising situation for a human being, having gone through all this suffering, that we don't take advantage of the life that God has given us. So I think this is where we must try to remember that a wake up call. This is a wake up call. We may not have much time left. We must come out of this mamta and janjal, this net that we have spread, worldwide net we call it, and we must try to overcome, because even devas, even those who are the gods, they also wish to advance, and we have a beautiful opportunity as a human being to surpass even what we think of the devas. Right in this very birth we can become God himself or part of it. So let's not get wrapped up into worldly things. As she says that some people, koi banave bag bagicha, koi banave haveli, ढाई धूती धन भेड़ू करे काई 5-25 थैली. Some people are running after making gardens and orchards and parks and all these things, and large buildings like palaces, and somehow they collect wealth by deceiving others, immoral ways of making money, small lines, people don't know how they deceive you, and thus they collect money, and ultimately we die and everything is left here. What a life of a man. And so she says, Pal bandh pani pehle. Before the death comes, wake up, realize, and before the flood comes, put on a levee so that your house or your life will not be drowned or ruined. We have weeds in our heart, she says. Kesar varni kaya sundar mahi ugi vikhvele. We have a beautiful life, but we have weeds inside. And these weeds don't allow us the crops to grow. Similarly, these vices are weeds and they don't allow us to develop our virtues, which then ultimately will take us towards our final goal. So, slok 39 then, again I will repeat, Sukha dukhe same krutva labha labho jaya jayo tato yuddha ijjasva naivam papam apsase. We must, having made pain and pleasure, gain and loss, conquest and defeat equal, same, we must engage in what we must engage in this battle. If we do that, Lord says, you will not incur sin. So, sin is not necessarily doing something evil, but not performing our duty itself is sin. So it is not necessarily that if somebody drinks or gambles or murders somebody, but not performing our duty the way we are supposed to perform, is also a sin, and that is what we must understand. And that means none of us is free from sin, because no one of us is performing perfectly the way Lord wants. However, there is no need to get discouraged. At least we can start, and once we start this battle, I am sure no matter what difficulties come on our way, Lord is there to help us, as we will see. And if you have seen Mahabharata, how many difficulties Arjun created for himself, and Lord came and helped him out. Arjun, out of his pride and ignorance and not knowing the strength of Bhishma Pitama and other warriors, and out of his own pride, was making statements that he did not know what he was saying, and yet Lord, of course, being on his side, did help him in spite of his stupidity, because after all he had surrendered to him. Similarly, if we just decide, make a decision that we are going to fight and do our best, all the rest will be taken care of by God. I think this is a very good, encouraging thought that we cannot lose. If Gita is on our side, if Mira is on our side, if Krishna is on our side, if truth is on our side, if love is on our side, we just cannot lose. And why not take a side or a battle in which we are assured victory? So whoever is going to be on the side of God and decide to fight rather than find excuse that I cannot practice, that I know what is right but I am helpless, I am lazy, I have got bad sanskar, I don't know what to do. All these excuses will not take us anywhere. Lord will not listen to it, like he did not listen to the excuses of Arjun. Arjun has put up lot of excuses. All you are saying is that you prefer to suffer. And if you prefer to suffer, that is your choice, that even God will not take away. So let's not kid ourselves, let's not deceive ourselves, let's not be so stupid to say that we know what is right and wrong and yet we cannot do. There cannot be more stupidity than that we say we know what is right after listening to Gita, but that we cannot do anything or we are not going to do anything. That's what essentially we are saying. Because there is nobody who is not capable to do something. We are all capable if we just pull together our willpower, have some good company, good even intention or prayers, and see that God will come and help us to proceed. But we must make the decision, we must get up early morning, struggle, even if you don't understand, go on reading it, writing it, pray, and then see that sooner or later God is going to come and help us. That is my experience, that is the experience of many of the devotees. It is not new. God has himself promised that Name Bhakta Pranashyati, and he has said that my devotee never perishes. In other words, if he does what I say, Arjun is my devotee, he is not going to perish. Whoever has surrendered to me to the best of his ability, he will not perish. This is the promise. Whoever does not surrender, he is bound to perish. There is no other way. So, if we want to choose the path of perishing ourselves, then we may not choose the path of surrender. Our pride and vanity and ego, you can continue, and we will see the result as what Ravan and Duryodhan experienced. That is exactly what's going to happen to all of us. So, knowing what has happened in the past, we must try to turn to Gita as quickly as possible and do the best and see for yourself whether what Gita is saying or what we are talking about here or what Mira is saying is in reality truth. Now we will be moving as what we call from theory to karma, action. What are we supposed to do? What do we do and what we don't do? So we will have to now mark, after we have learned all the Upanishadic knowledge and theoretical knowledge, all that the Lord has to say about the truth and the discrimination. This is a specialty of Gita, Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is not in Upanishads, Karma Yoga is only in Gita. So while Gita has taken all the Upanishadic knowledge, what is the specialty of Gita or the beauty is that Sri Krishna Bhagavan has added this extra element which is the most important element for the sansaris, and this then tells us that this is to cater the worldly people because they are the ones who need it. And of course Arjuna is worldly man, and God is addressing him. So whatever in Gita he is addressing is being addressed to a worldly man. So let nobody ever say that Gita is not for sansaris. Gita is for sansari and sansari only. It is not for those sannyasis who have already renounced, because that was the purpose of the Gita. So and this is another way of deceiving ourselves. We simply write off by saying that Gita is not for us, and that ends the story, and we want to remain in darkness. It is like saying light is not for us, we just love darkness. Well, of course, that choice is also given to us. God is not going to force upon us. Now, then, we enter the field of Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is something consisting of two words, karma and yoga. Actions and the type of actions we perform that will lead us to connecting ourselves to God. We talked about early days, early episodes about connecting through these cell phones and telephones and computers. But when we try to connect with outsiders, we are connecting ourselves with nothing but pain and suffering, and our mind will be split and tired. To connect within ourselves, then we'll have to learn what kind of karmas we do so that we can connect ourselves within. So if the computers and cell phones and all the equipment and money and intelligence helps us to connect with ourselves, then you are wise. If it helps to connect with outsiders, which cannot be connected to begin with anyway by very nature, so we are mostly wasting our time, because in Prakriti nothing can be connected. It is all perishable, it is constantly moving, and nothing is connected, it is just passing away. So if we really want to connect, there is only one connection, to connect ourselves with our own soul. We can connect ourselves with Mira, we can connect ourselves with God, we can connect ourselves with love, but that is all we are talking about is within us. That Mira you are looking for is within us, that Krishna we are looking for is within us, that love that we are looking for is within us, and love can be received or experienced only by love and nothing less than that. This will be explained to us by performing our actions the way it should be. Don't worry about understanding this. If you don't understand, just do what we are saying, and then everything will be added to it. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat.